Namaskar, Sat Sri Akal, good evening, everyone. We're joining again here. Feed. Good evening, everyone. Namaskar. Sorry for that. We're live again with we'll be joining the live session on the page of Guru Pradeep Shankar Academy of Promoting and Performing Arts. And we'd like to welcome today CEO and the artistic director of Milapfest from UK, who have been working for a long time for promoting Indian classical arts in UK and abroad. Let's welcome Shri Alok Nayak ji. Usually it's with a round applause, but I can clap here. Welcome, Alok bhai. Welcome to the chat.
Thanks, Innee bhai. Thanks for having me today.
Thank you so much for it's such a pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much for agreeing to be being a part of this. Thank you so much. It's an honor for us to have you here.
It's a pleasure, an honor for me as well, and I'm really glad you invited me. And I just hope that we will have a good time talking. I'm sure we will.
I'm sure. I'm looking forward to
that. I hope people listening in and watching find it useful and informative. So yeah, really happy to be here.
Thank you so much. Can you hear me clearly? Is my voice clear?
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, okay. So now, as you know, as everybody is aware, these are a bit difficult times, and we just wanted to, invite you and discuss because Milapfest has been promoting a lot of young artists, and how do you see these times, and how do we've been encouraging a lot of young artists, and we've seen a lot of young artists performing online on digital platforms. And okay. So how does Milapfest see all this happening, and how do they visualize the whole thing at this moment for the youngsters?
Well, I mean, of course, it's a really difficult and tragic time, for everyone. It's not only, and we're all at different times in the crisis. So what we're here, I'm talking to you today when England is opening up the entertainment and hospitality sector as of this morning. And so it's with a lot of concern, actually, because there are bars, restaurants, and shopping centers and shops opening today, but still no idea of performing arts venues and theaters. So here, the situation is that, they're trying to get the economy going, but not thinking about the arts, performing arts and music and dance industry in that economy. But I think what of course, apart from the crisis, apart from the tragedy and, the many difficulties people are facing, I think for all of us in Indian arts, we've got to look at it as an opportunity to change. And people, I've talked to you about this. We talk to friends and family that families and people are making decisions about their personal choices now. We talked about, would we go out as much as we did before? Maybe we'll use our cars less. We'll help the environment more. We'll maybe be better neighbors, better friends, better family members. So on a personal level, people are reflecting and seeing whether it's a time to grow and to live better. So I hope that, we can extend this in Indian arts and culture as well, because we can think about how we all act and interact and behave and support each other. So I think that, that's the fundamental of this, that's the center of this for me, that how do we use this crisis and this difficulties that we're all facing to grow and come out of this as a better society and better people.
Yeah.
And that you asked about young artists. So crucially for that, I think that all of us who are working in Indian arts and culture, we can think of how we can support each other better. So if we are in an organization, or if we're an artist or an individual who has got certain skills and experience and certain profile or a platform, I think it's our duty now to share it with people who have less than us. So if, one example you talked about in March, April and May in particular, many artists were doing Facebook and Instagram performances, talks.
That's right. Yeah.
And then we started talking about, what about the artists who are not so good on social media, or don't have a platform.
Tech savvy.
Or even not text. Yeah, and even they're either not text or they just don't have that following yet.
So, that's true. Yeah.
So there's hopefully we don't there's no gap between young or unknown artists and more established. There shouldn't be like a big widening gap between the more established, well-known artists and the young unknowns as well.
Yeah.
And I think hopefully, as a promoter, as producers, as artists, we start to think now that what was it like when we were unknown and young and struggling, and maybe we can help, because most importantly, we'll all only grow together. We won't be able to compete as much as we could before. We'll have to think more as an economy and as an industry together.
Yeah. So has Milapfest, like, you have a website, you have a YouTube channel, I guess, and have you thought of having a digital platform for performances? Are you getting into that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we were actually in the middle of launching several live performances and festivals in 2020. So several concerts at South Bank Centre in London. A big festival was planned for November in Liverpool. And actually, in many ways, this year was like a relaunch for Milap, because we had reprogrammed and restructured a lot of our live performances and festivals.
Oh, okay.
So and then we were going to move to digital. So what we've done is we flipped that, actually, and we're now working more and more on our online platform.
And
trying to see how we can get out to many more people around the world, and think more about how we can produce Indian arts in a way that it can be enjoyed online as much as possible.
Yeah. I got. I'll just give you a quick look, because I don't think you can see the comments. Can you see the comments? No,
I can. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we have Gauri Devakar, we have Alok Nanda, we have Murad Bhai, Mahua ji, all greeting you. Gauri says hello, Innee ji, and good to see you here, Alok ji. And Alok Nanda says namaste to you. Shoaib Bhai, Murad Bhai is under the academy page. He says adab Alok ji, and aapka swagat hai. He's welcoming you.
Thank you.
Yeah, Mahua ji also says namaskar Innee bhai and Alok ji. It's a pleasure to have you. So it is indeed a pleasure to have you here, because we were wondering whether Alok bhai would be interested in joining us for this chat, but it is indeed an honor for us.
Thank you. And
this is just my
namaste, and hello everyone who said hello as well. It's really good to have you.
Yeah. So to continue, we have Alok Nanda is posting a question. She said, I'll just post it on your screen. You can also see it there. Do you think that established artists tend to ignore younger artists? So this is going into the the other territory.
Should we starting early?
Yeah, we're starting early.
No, I don't think it's a matter of ignoring. I think, as I said before, I think all artists, even if they're established, and again, this I can, we'll see if I get in trouble for this or not, but even established and well-known artists are still, in my opinion, still struggling or searching for something, because, they may not be performing as much as they like. They might say somebody has got a market in USA or America, they might want to also perform in Canada, or they might want to teach, or they, you know, somebody might have 50 concerts a year, they might want 100, you know, so there's always a struggle and attention to grow. And so I think artists have to keep thinking that they are in they think and feel like they have to look after their career development, because, as you know, there's only a handful of Indian classical musicians and dancers who are really commercially and, you know, artistically successful worldwide. So I think so. But in my opinion, though, where we could change was that we could, even if we're not ignoring, even if established artists are not ignoring young artists deliberately, we could start thinking like, take them along with you, introduce them to each other. You know, it doesn't cost me anything if I'm say as a promoter and as a producer of Indian arts, it doesn't cost me anything to introduce a younger person who is starting a Milap-like organization. You know, if they grow as well, it's great. It doesn't cost Milap anything. So I think that maybe the artist could think like that too, that introduce and support an artist who's much younger than them.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, it's a nice thing that you said. If somebody's trying to start a new organization like Milap, and you'll be, you know, it's not very often you hear that someone as established as, I would say, Milapfest would, you know, in general thinking, would like to help somebody, you know, grow as yourself. But I've seen that, because when I was in England for the exhibition, it was like Prashantji had mentioned, that this was the first time anybody was inviting a photographer, an Indian arts performing arts photographer out of India to hold their exhibition there. Yeah. Which was quite. I still get a lot of memories and a lot of Facebook, memories of that event. Yeah. It was,
we had an amazing time sharing your work and hosting you as well. But I was just going to say that that's the culture that we've got from our founder, Prashantji, because he always started with that approach that we would support other charities to set up. We would have a focus. So in Milap, you know, what we do focus on is supporting other organizations to grow, other artists to grow individually, and younger or unknown artists as well. So, you know, we hope to keep doing that. And, you know, I'm happy to say when people are listening that if we're not doing that, or if there are artists or organizations you feel we're not helping, then, you know, you can always reach out to us and we'll do our best.
Yeah, I remember Milapfest supporting our calendar as well. In 2018. That was an amazing time too. So so we were talking about the young thing, because I don't know if you've seen online, the Facebook, the events that keep on happening, the concerts that keep on happening. Other than those are happening in India. You know, online festivals and younger dancers are because I see a lot of that. I have seen a lot of dancers on Instagram who are not from Delhi, whom I have never seen. I've never photographed, but I've really seen that from whatever I see. Obviously, you cannot judge from one recorded video the caliber of the artist, obviously, and I'm no one to judge that. But I've really seen that it's a great, you see great potential in that, and probably this COVID-19 thing is also a kind of a blessing in disguise, that, people are what was not happening before in arts is now actually happening. Obviously, there is nothing as compared to being live on stage, performing on stage with a lot of people in front. But for the younger who are upcoming, or who are planning to, who were planning to perform on stage, this is kind of a good time to also take their work international by just sitting at home in a way. What do you think about that? What do you think about the live performances? And
I mean, it is difficult, because we're, especially say for Milap, for instance, we work a lot on the experience of going to a live event. So it's like say we work, you came to us in Liverpool, for example, and Liverpool is a city which doesn't have a large Indian population, or you could say an established traditional Indian music population. But what people have done is become experts or lovers of Indian music. But what they also like is the other aspects of Indian culture. So the food, the decoration, the design, the ambience. So people are Indian culture lovers as well as just the Indian music. So I think that's the struggle with live performance, that you might be going in two ways. Either you're only maybe going to reach people who already love Indian music and dance, or you might have to change your performance style or presentation style to get through more on the live platform. Because however good the camera and the backdrop is, you can't, that immediacy and that closeness to the artist and all of that, it's really hard to get. Practically too, we found, people in England and in the West are working from home and are probably on Zoom or Teams or Google Hangout all day long. So then also ask them to watch a concert for an hour. It's, people want a break.
Yeah, but I've seen a lot of people are also organizing concerts now. I recently saw some posts on Facebook, ticketed shows online.
Yeah.
So some senior dancers or some dancers are performing for ticketed show. I don't know how many people would be interested in, for the moment, paying and watching a live concert on social media, but that thing has been. What kind of ideas, or what kind of suggestions would you like to give to anybody who's planning to, obviously, like you just said, though I would take that because my camera is nice and my background is blurred. But for the youngers, because everybody doesn't have access to all that equipment that creates really good videos, and they're performing at their homes, and they don't want to go out, they want to shoot at home. So do you think there's this kind of a market outside, or people would like to see, or something like Milapfest would like to, or is planning to organize something like this? Do you have something to say about that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it comes back to what I was saying at the beginning, that how we change and evolve from this situation is crucial now. And in England, we've got evidence and history that Indian music has come to this country, has taken root here, but also adapted and evolved. So we started around the time you were visiting. Actually, we started this concept called one aspect of this concept was what we called, in a tongue-in-cheek way, the Great British Gharana. So
I remember that. Yes.
So we launched an album and a book when you were here, and I remember. I mean, the idea in saying that was that there's a style, like Indian music is very deeply rooted in tradition and history, but it evolves and it changes and it adapts as well. And in my opinion, when it does that, we don't lose integrity or the values of the tradition as well. You can take an example that in the West, people in England, for example, artists maybe name their concerts in a different way. They cut we maybe say in a Hindustani music performance, we cut the performance into pieces of music rather than one alap George alap, for instance. And they're just ideas to help an audience connect. But the first, the thing we could do in changing is that we have to find a way now that audiences around the world, in India as well, are able to connect immediately with Indian music or Indian dance, rather than this notion that has come up, from audiences around in England, say that I have to really understand and learn this before I can appreciate it. We have to change that feeling that a new audience or a young person or a child shouldn't think that, only if I study this for 20 years I'll enjoy this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
They
Good.
should be able to listen to it, and in 10 minutes, 30 minutes, 1 hour, there's something that has clicked, that
Yeah,
can
exactly.
feel.
Yeah, that is something I speak to. I speak to my guru. Ustadji keeps on saying that he's said his Ustad Amjad Ali Khan sir. He says that the music should be appealing. It
Yeah,
shouldn't be like what you just said, that a person listening to classical music should think I should at least have 20 years knowledge to
yeah,
understand what is happening on the stage, and
yeah,
then probably in the first concert itself lose interest,
yeah,
and eventually the art is losing the audience then,
yeah,
because if the younger ones are not coming back, then and I've heard him say that newer newer audience is better than, sometimes better than the known people, or the people who know the art know the art from. Because what I've experienced is some of them in Delhi, I've seen when I've attended concerts, including me sometimes, have only gone there to judge the performance than to enjoy it.
yeah,
So it's like you come out and you're just telling, oh, they performed for 1 hour, but I lost them 20 minutes after that, because there
yeah,
was it was not interesting, and
yeah,
all that. But this is a very good point, that what you mentioned. I just saw a question from Alok Nanda here, which says, "Isn't there enough space for everyone? It's important to make space for everyone. Everyone, then grab it all."
yeah,
So
yeah.
this is
I mean,
the right.
yeah, I mean
Yeah,
that that goes back to what I was saying before.
yeah,
I agree. There's different people have got different skills as well. So, you know, if we, I think there's enough space definitely, because you might find, say, take Sarod players for example. You're talking about your Guruji,
yeah,
Ustadji. So say, he's got a platform and a reach and an identity which is unique at the moment in
yeah,
his career. But
yeah,
there are other Sarod players who are doing something different. It might be their style of performance, their collaborations. Some of them
mhm,
have a band, a fusion band, or if
yeah,
I think of, for example, an amazing artist who's come as a composer. He is Ranajit Sengupta. Now,
mhm,
Ranajit ji has got a totally different style and approach to Sarod playing, but of course he's much younger, than
yeah,
Ustadji.
yeah,
But there's a different niche that he's making. Then of course, Guruji's sons, Ustadji's
yeah,
sons are different. So
yeah,
I think definitely everybody has got a space. And in dance, say, talking specifically about dance, I think in the West, again from my experience, Bharatnatyam, Kathak, and to a small extent Odissi are fairly well known, but only certain styles, certain artists, certain styles have had the platform to come out. And
yeah,
actually, if you look at it overall, quite a limited repertoire compared to what is possible. So, thinking about space in dance, for example, there's loads of potential in repertoire and storytelling and
mhm,
the and what we could take up in dance. And
yeah,
again, it's no criticism to dancers that who have come. There is a limited repertoire and music
yeah,
that has been created and recorded. But
mhm,
dancers could think in that angle, that what about other repertoire, other choreography, other music which the world has not seen? We could take different approaches there as well, apart from artists. So so again, linking this to younger artists, what I would say is that this is an opportunity now for us to think that, can we present our arts in a different way? Can we adapt to different countries around the world? And can we think more? My big message or idea in Milap now is that we're trying to think not only of the music and dance and the performing arts
yeah,
on their own, but we're
mhm,
trying to think that what can Indian arts and culture give the world, which is
yeah,
universal.
yeah,
What are the aspects of the philosophy, the storytelling, the music,
Very interesting.
that we can give, which are not related to language and culture. And
very interesting.
a couple of examples, like we run a long running series called Music for the Mind and Soul in England, concerts. Now we named it as such because it may be, say, Pandit Ajay Chakravarti who was singing in the concert, or somebody like that, or it may be Kaushikiji. There are different people in that. But if a young person or somebody comes in and doesn't know the name of the artist, what you're getting is that feeling of that Music for the Mind and Soul conveys.
Yeah, exactly.
And we had one. We were working in one venue a few years ago where it was a Kathakali artist who had a particular repertoire, very unique story they were telling. And unfortunately, the front of house staff forgot to hand out the program notes. And it was an audience which was largely new to Kathakali. And they forgot to hand out the program notes, and we were, backstage in the audience. We were like, "Oh no, it's this program's, gonna dive now. It's not gonna work." But we talked to audience members after the show, and they just focused on the gestures, the eye movements, and they changed their thinking to not reading notes, but they changed to really look at the eyes and the face of each dancer, and it changed. There were people who said, "I've never seen this before," and they read the notes later, and then they thought, "Oh, now I get it." So,
that is very interesting, actually. Because
it sort of made us feel like we could also make Indian art less of a cultural or a educational art form, and more into aesthetics, entertainment, engagement. I think that then and not worry so much about trying to teach people about it, but think more about how is that person going to enjoy it.
Yeah, this was just like the Kathakali performance you were referring to. You mentioned it's something like a picture. Like they say, a picture can speak 1,000 words, but you don't have to write those 1,000 words. Let this picture speak for itself. So whoever sees that picture will have their own interpretation of the image. Whatever they see themselves, they will have. So it doesn't have to be, you don't have to tell the person, okay, I took this picture, so this is the story behind it. So that means you've just tied them up in one, in one perspective. You haven't given them the, the whole thing. I got a message from, this is Mahuaji writing. I remember coming to Liverpool for the summer camp with my guru, Pandit Birju Maharaji, several times. And the whole scenario there with so many students from different countries with various other dance gurus dancing together, eating together, and exchanging each other's views, but was outstanding. This is what I felt there too when I was there. Even though I was not a performing artist, I used to roam around rooms. When I didn't have anything to do, going there, looking at them. But I really enjoyed whatever time I spent there. Obviously, I preponed my ticket and I ran away from there. And Prashantji kept on telling me, you should wait at least one more day. I said, Prashantji, I'm feeling homesick. So
I know. Sometimes we're tempted to take away your passports when you come here so that we can enjoy it.
I'm glad you didn't do that. He didn't do that. Prashantji didn't do that that day.
Just to keep you longer.
There is Nupurji says, Namaskar, Innee and Alokji. Nupurji is the sister of Mahua Shankarji. And Vidhalalji is online with us. She says, Namaskar, Alokji and Innee.
Namaste.
And she's posted the message. Alokji, I would like you to also mention that Milapfest, for the first time, you organized a concert only for toddlers and kids. It was a unique and very interesting session. Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, tell us something about that.
Yeah, that's, a couple of things. And then I'll go back to what Mahuaji said, really interesting as well. Yeah, with what Vidhaji is referring to is we had Indica Festival in its last form a couple of 18 months ago. We were also, we found it, and again, Liverpool is an amazing place to do Indian art because it's a culturally really vibrant city, but very few Indians and very few South Asians. So when you present Indian art here, reaching out to not only Indians but people who are generally like culturally open-minded, so they'll take their children to try things out. So what we tried with Vidyaji and Abhimanyu was that they performed for families, and they told their stories really well. Artists, all of you whom will know, we can mention their names on the comments afterwards. Like Fateh Ali Khan, all the artists who work with Vidya, amazing artists performed music concert and they did the dance. But what was great is that the children could really see that connection. For children, it's amazing, when children are really young, as from babies upwards, you start teaching them in sign language. So for really young babies and toddlers, if we could do more of this with Indian dance, I think it would really transform the way we connect with people. And so I think children's performances, you can see it in orchestras around the world that they have concerts for children. We can definitely do that more. With what Mahawaji was saying as well, this is exactly the kind of way. It's another really good example. Thank you both for reminding me of two examples of how we can adapt Indian culture overseas and in modern times. So we can't really, Birju Maharaj Ji, there was in those times when she was coming, Professor C.V. Chandrasekhar, Leela Sampson, plus the younger artists as well. So all these kind of great gurus coming now, but they were with young people from around the world who didn't necessarily, and established artists and dancers and musicians who didn't really know the Gurukul or the Guru Shishya tradition, but we created an adaptation of that. And what was different there is, for instance, you could sit next to, say, Priyadarshini Govind for lunch and talk to her about something, or on another table there's Sujata Mohapatra talking to, I don't know, Lal Gudi Krishnan, and so there's this amazing. So we were trying to create this feeling of a school but it was very open and very a lot of sharing, and I think that's another approach we can take in the future as well. So sort of break down, again, an example there is that in the early days when we had Kathak and Bharatanatyam, and Bharatanatyam students would not mix because they didn't know how to interact with each other. So over the years, we've also found that different art forms are respecting each other's tradition a lot more when you mix them together.
Yeah, that's true. I just got a message I must share this message because this is priceless for me. Prashant ji has just commented, lovely to see you and hear you again, Innee. You're a special gift to Indian art. I'm so thankful and so nice to see Prashant ji online.
Yeah.
And this is such a special, obviously not because he said that, but this is probably after I came to India, one of the least, we haven't spoken for a long time, but thank you so much, Prashant ji, for joining us and for this special gift. And I'd like to invite a guest now. So I'll, by the time we invite them, we'll just continue our talk. Just a second. And okay, we can take any other message if there is online. If there is any other,
I don't see. I see them when you share them with me. They're not popping.
Oh, okay.
Up. Yeah.
There was there was another message from Alok Nayak. She says it's important to simplify the presentations for audience, and it should touch the vibe of audience. Sometimes artists perform for themselves, not for the audience.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that. I think there's it's really important to know your audience, find out.
Yeah, that's true. It's like you're not here to torture the audience.
Yeah.
So you should actually see.
Yeah, because there's been a handful of performances I've seen or been to, not just in Indian arts, but where you feel like you're just watching a rehearsal or a, you know, so you may be there or not be there, and that's that's definitely something which we have to address. And I think it really could come with more interaction with the audience, not just not just speaking on microphone, but what we say and how we engage. It's really interesting way of looking at it.
What are you what is Milapfest doing at this moment? Like, are you, obviously there are no performances there, nothing is happening.
Well, I mean, our entire 2020 calendar has just shifted to 2021, hopefully. But we have.
So am I somewhere in the calendar?
Yeah. So I was looking out for the Innee Singh calendar. So 12 months of your self-portraits. I don't know if you can.
That's a good idea, actually.
People would pay money for that.
Wouldn't that be too much for people to see? Every month they will be looking at me in a different pose.
Well, people need wallpaper and table covering.
Okay, so we are joined by the the amazing Sarangi maestro Murad bhai. So I'll just add him to the room, and here we go. Adab Murad bhai, most welcome.
Namaskar, Alok. Thank you so much, and welcome to you here.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
To see you here. और इन्नी भाई का बहुत शुक्रिया कि किसी सूरत से आपको यहाँ लेके आए।
मैं तो इनका थैंक यू कर रहा हूँ कि he agreed to come with me. मैंने तो बहुत डर के इनको मैसेज लिखा था, सोचा तो यही था कि आलोक भाई कहेंगे यार मुझे कहाँ बुला रहे हो।
नहीं, डरने की बात नहीं,
very thankful, very proud,
so humble.
Absolutely.
It's a pleasure to be here. And Murad bhai, I told Innee bhai as well earlier that I'm happy for you both to speak in Hindi, but I don't want to lower the quality of your series by speaking myself in Hindi. So,
नहीं, आपके आने से तो जो क्वालिटी है वो और अच्छी बढ़ गई है।
नहीं, वो कह रहे थे, मैंने कहा आप हिंदी में बोलेंगे। मैंने उनसे पूछा आप हिंदी में बोलेंगे, तो वो कहते हैं अगर मैं हिंदी में बोलूंगा तो कॉमेडी शो हो जाएगा।
नहीं, आप मैं I'll try to speak in English, but I'm very much comfortable to speak in Hindi. तो यहाँ बहुत सारे लोग ऐसे हैं कि जो they might not understand English. तो उनको भी पता रहेगा कि किस डिस्कशन में रहेगा। और आप हैं, इन्नी भाई हैं, और अभी और एक गेस्ट आएंगे बीच में, तो आप लोग इंग्लिश में बात करें, मैं बीच में जहां मुझे लगेगा कि मैं दौड़ सकता हूँ, I'll definitely join.
Thank you. Okay.
But thank you so much, and I'm very happy to see Prashant ji also here. So my humble pranam to him as well. आप लोग इतना अच्छा काम कर रहे हैं. You have done so much for art and art culture and for artists also. And मैं अभी मैसेज कमेंट करने जा रहा था, तो इन्नी भाई ने मुझे इनवाइट कर दिया, तो मुझे जल्दी से उधर से भागना पड़ा।
अभी मैंने रूपक कुलकर्णी भाई का वो देखा, उनका एक वो आया, I'll just share that, where he says, I think Indian music has everything what is required for both the audience and connoisseurs. We don't need to change anything. Artists need to perfect their art first and then perform.
Absolutely. Very, very correct.
Yeah,
quite an interesting. You were saying?
Yeah, I would agree with that too. I mean, Rupak ji must be referring to when I say about changing, and
yes, I also think,
because I'm not talking about changing the culture or the style of Indian music and dance. I'm talking mainly about the way we perform, the stage, the environment that we perform in, maybe. Excuse me. I'll give you an example. For instance, that now next 6 months or 8-9 months, we may not be able to get into any theaters in England, because venues are closed. So we may have to think that if we want to do Indian music, can we look at a garden, or can we look at and funnily enough, shopping centers are open, but theaters are not open. So do we have to build a stage in a shopping center? I don't know, So I'm talking about this, that we have to be open to maybe changing the way we approach. But I mean, I can talk about that more later if you want, after what kind of change I'm talking about. Not just wholesale change of classical music and dance.
But are there any auditorium? I recently read a news somewhere that some auditoriums in Italy or somewhere have been opened
in France also.
with social distancing,
France and Italy also.
maintaining social distancing and all that. So okay, but wouldn't that be very for this at this moment? It will be very difficult to. I mean, it'll be easier for them to organize. It'll be very difficult for us to do that in India, because at the end of the day, like I was listening to somebody the other day. They were saying that once the unlock thing was done, the first unlock was implemented. People became a little more careless. So the things increased, but obviously we're not going. That is the government's job, and what we are doing is we're staying inside and we're chatting about our plans for the arts and our plans for the younger artists who looking for a platform at this moment to be to showcase their work. And Murad bhai, aapka
go ahead, Murad bhai.
नहीं आप कुछ पूछना चाह रहे हैं? मैंने
नहीं मैं सुन रहा हूँ, कुछ मेरे चल रहा है, but I will ask you later. I want to listen Alok ji's views.
जी आप बताएं. Alok bhai,
it's the same as well here, that the virus is not under control here yet. So if we excuse me, we're not ready to open with social distancing yet. But I had the kind of direction I was thinking for Indian arts to change or adapt is, for instance, I have a friend who's an academic, Ian Costabile. He's a Brazilian composer, and we both wrote a paper together. He wrote about how COVID-19 is affecting the music industry, and he noticed and he suggested how it might change in the future. What we were talking about is that there have been already 2 or 3 big cultural moments in music, in the history of music, like the Italian balcony performance. This trend which started in February and March. Italians were playing music from their balconies and singing together.
Mm-hmm.
So that wouldn't have happened before. And then, on a much smaller scale, during March and April, people were clapping for care workers here on Thursday evenings. So people used to just go out on the street at Thursday at 8 o'clock and clap for the doctors, nurses, care workers, everybody who still has to work during the crisis. But people would add music to that as well. And, and then a third, and there were a lot of street performances, because people have started becoming more neighborly and more open in their neighborhoods. So I was just thinking about that kind of thing, that could we imagine Indian classical music or Indian classical dance being played out on balconies or streets, or, people coming out with a sitar and tabla and people in your neighborhood coming out and listening impromptu. That's the kind of direction I want to think, that how can we make Indian music a little bit more spontaneous and impromptu than what it is now? That could be one way of thinking, which younger generation artists might be able to think of something along those lines.
Because I think the first thing I've just read a beautiful comment that Prashantji has written. After the worldwide devastation caused by corona pandemic, there was never a greater need for artists and art organizations to come together and work together as genuine partners, because Indian art forms can enrich the lives of all who experience it. And we need to work together to bring its magic to the younger generations everywhere. We should all be on the same side. So the last sentence of this paragraph, it's beautifully written by Prashantji. Obviously, his vision and his vision is right there. Milapfest, his vision is there. But the last line that he writes in the paragraph is the main, we should all be on the same side. And when you talk about impromptu and, these kind of performances, this is very important, that they have to be on the same side.
Yeah.
Yeah. because I don't. If I imagine that kind of a thing, what you were describing about what happened in Italy, I remember seeing that on television. If I imagine that happening in India, probably the people will say, भैया आप वो सम पे नहीं आ रहे थे, मैं तो यहाँ से ताल ठीक दे रहा था, पर उनकी तिहाई ठीक नहीं आई, उनका चक्कर अच्छा नहीं था, उनका, you know, the judgments will start. They will not, even if it is impromptu, or even if it is you know, this such a thing I think can happen in light classical or folk music, but with deep rooted classical, you know, the traditional classical, I don't see it going, you know. कभी आप मुराद भाई आप सोचेंगे कि कभी इम्प्रॉम्प्टू हो रहा है कि आप अपनी बालकनी में सारंगी बजा रहे हैं और दूसरी बालकनी में कोई तबला बजाए आपके साथ?
नहीं, असल में वैसे तो ये बहुत पॉजिटिव है कि वो हमने भी देखा कि स्पेन में, इटली में लोग अपनी बालकनीज में म्यूजिक कर रहे हैं, लेकिन वो एक अपना, क्योंकि इतने दिनों का वो ये जो दौर चल रहा है पैंडेमिक, कहीं से उनको जो म्यूजिशियंस लोग हैं या जो नॉर्मल लोग जो शौक रखते हैं म्यूजिक का, दे केम आउट एंड प्ले देयर म्यूजिक एंड फील लिटिल लाइटर, क्योंकि वो इतना दिमाग में लोगों के जो डर कोविड-19 का है उसकी वजह से थोड़ा सा उनको, क्योंकि म्यूजिक ही ऐसी चीज है कि उसको थोड़ा सा लाइट कर सकते हैं, बट दिस डजंट मीन कि वो उस तरह का कॉन्सर्ट कोई करे या उससे जो जरूरतमंद म्यूजिशियंस है या कलाकार किसी भी फॉर्म के हों उनको कुछ ना कुछ हेल्प मिले किसी भी तरीके की। तो ये तो ड्यूरिंग द कोविड-19 की बात हम लोग कर रहे हैं, लेकिन आफ्टर द कोविड-19 व्हाट विल हैपन? क्योंकि कलाकार कुछ बहुत अच्छे कलाकार हैं जो एक दूसरे को सपोर्ट करते हैं और एक दूसरे को रिकमेंड भी करते हैं। ऑर्गेनाइजर्स जैसे अभी कहा प्रशांत जी ने, बहुत कि इस वक्त में तो सबको एक होके काम करना चाहिए इंडियन आर्ट के लिए।
जैसे अभी सिद्धार्थ भाई ने भी कमेंट किया, art organizations must come together to help survive these times and support artists as well. Alok bhai, Siddharth bhai is from China. He's in China.
Very good friend.
A very good friend. He has an organization by the name of Chetty Arts, and they organize a lot of performances in China. मुराद भाई
मैं मेंशन करूंगा आलोक भाई सिद्धार्थ भाई को, हालांकि वो हमेशा मना करते कि इतनी तारीफ मेरी मत कीजिए तो लेकिन मैंने अभी फतेह भाई ने और मैंने 22 जून को उनके लिए एक लाइव कॉन्सर्ट जो एक किया, बाकायदा यहाँ दिल्ली में स्टूडियो बुक किया गया, पूरी टीम आई और सभी मतलब सैनिटाइजर वगैरह सब लगा के और सैनिटाइज करके प्रॉपर कॉन्सर्ट, पीछे बैकड्रॉप भी है और मतलब वहाँ ये चाइना रहते हैं तो शंघाई में, तो वहाँ कुछ लोगों का एक गैदरिंग था क्योंकि वहाँ अभी तो सब काफी नॉर्मल हो गया है। सो दे एंजॉय म्यूजिक एंड मी एंड फतेह भाई वी बोथ प्लेइंग डुएट वन यमन एंड कुछ दो चीजें, और इस तरह से जैसे जितनी इज्जत से जितने प्यार से सिद्धार्थ भाई ने हमको कहा कि मुराद भाई एक कॉन्सर्ट है, तो आफ्टर 2 or 3 months इफ एनी आर्टिस्ट लिसन कि अगर कोई कॉन्सर्ट है ऐसे फेसबुक पे लाइव आना, कुछ ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस हैं जिन्होंने बाकायदा पे किया आर्टिस्टों को, कुछ ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है कि जिनको वी कैन नॉट से कि वी नीड कंप्लीट। अस्सलाम वालेकुम जी, प्रशांत जी आ रहा है, प्रशांत जी का थैंक यू सो मच एंड आई एम वेरी हैप्पी टू सी यू हियर सर, ग्रेट टू सी यू। तो इस तरह के जो जैसे आप हैं या प्रशांत जी हैं या और कुछ कम लोग हैं ऐसे कि जो वाकई सोचते हैं कि फेस्टिवल ऑर्गेनाइज करना इट इज नॉट ओनली मोटिव, आर्टिस्ट के साथ उनका एक संबंध, एक पर्सनल रिलेशनशिप होना भी बहुत जरूरी है, उनके सुख में दुख में उनके तरक्की में वो एक साथ रहना बहुत जरूरी है। तो जैसे आलोक भाई हैं, प्रशांत जी हैं, सिद्धार्थ भाई हैं, ऐसे कुछ और चुनिंदा लोग हैं जो सिर्फ वो टॉप 10 लिस्ट में आते हैं, बाकी तो पूरी दुनिया कुछ ना कुछ कर रही है, लेकिन वो टॉप 10 लिस्ट में कि जो वाकई आर्ट एंड आर्टिस्ट को प्रॉपर वो रिस्पेक्ट करते हैं और उसके लिए कुछ कर रहे हैं।
वही मैंने भी सोचा था कि जब आलोक भाई प्रशांत जी ने हमारी एग्जीबिशन ऑर्गेनाइज करी थी लिवरपूल में, तो मैं तो शुरू में तो जब मेरे से बात हुई थी तो मैं तो सरप्राइज था। मैंने कहा कोई मजाक कर रहे हैं, वरना इंडिया से किसी परफॉर्मिंग आर्ट्स फोटोग्राफर को कोई क्यों बुलाएगा अपना काम दिखाने के लिए वहां पे, और वो भी पेमेंट दे के, लेके नहीं
नहीं
खर्चा करके।
वो
आई मीन प्रोडक्शन का सारा खर्चा, ट्रैवलिंग का खर्चा, रहने का, तो विच वॉज मेरे को आज भी मैं सोचता हूँ तो शायद, अच्छा उसके बाद भी, उससे पहले तो मैंने कभी सुना नहीं था, उसके बाद भी आज तक मैंने कभी नहीं सुना ऐसा कभी हुआ हो। तो आई एम ऑलवेज ग्रेटफुल टू प्रशांत जी और आलोक जी के, इन्होंने दे हैड द विजन टू डू इट, कि उन्होंने इतनी अच्छी, और उसको ऐसे ही नहीं कि वहां जाके फोटोज लग गई, वहां पे प्रॉपर एग्जीबिशन हुई, उसका इनॉग्रेशन हुआ, वहां पे उनके आर्ट्स काउंसिल के जो हेड थे शायद वो आए थे, एंड that was the first time, Alok bhai, I was asked to speak on stage.
Yeah.
And I was like, I was telling my friend Neha, जिनके साथ मैंने किया था, कि अब तो मेरा यहाँ पे जैसे कहते हैं ना, हम बैंड बजने वाला है, कि मुझे तो माइक पे बोलना ही नहीं आता। बट that was those were the moments. I'm just मैं एक छोटी सी बात कह रहा हूँ कि we're inviting our another guest. आप लोग जानते ही हैं उनको, शी इज द डायरेक्टर ऑफ द अकेडमी, एंड आलोक भाई विल लाइक टू शी लाइक टू टॉक टू यू एंड थैंक यू फॉर जॉइनिंग अस. आई लाइक टू वेलकम महुआ जी इनटू द चैट रूम.
वो अकेडमी की डायरेक्टर भी और
वेलकम महुआ जी. नमस्कार
जी.
नमस्कार. डांसर
आदाब. Thank you so much, Alok ji. Thank you so much for being here. It's a privilege to hear you, and we are really honored to have you. Thank you so much.
No, it's my honor as well. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you.
Such a pleasure to have you. महुआ जी, आपकी थोड़ा इंटरनेट थोड़ा स्लो है शायद, कुछ स्ट्रीम थोड़ी को, but then we can hear you well. We can hear you properly. So last time, हाँ जी थोड़ा स्लो चल रहा है.
अच्छा.
तो हाँ जी,
आप दोनों ट्राई कर ले, वाईफाई और डेटा व्हाटएवर.
अब मुराद जी अटक गए. अभी ठीक है? अभी कुछ बेटर है?
नहीं, हम तो ठीक है. आपका ही
हम तो
भी अटके.
मुझे आपने सबसे लास्ट पे बुलाया, शायद इसलिए ऐसा हो रहा है.
अच्छा, लेकिन आपकी आवाज आ रही है, वो नेट से होगा तो हो जाएगा.
बिल्कुल. अमान भाई ने भी आदाब अर्ज किया है सबको, थोड़ी देर पहले किया था, मैं मिस हो गया. अमान भाई जानते ही हैं, आलोक भाई जानते हैं ना अमान भाई
जी. So he's my younger brother, I told you. Alok bhai ji.
So we were discussing जैसे महुआ जी आपने भी सुना होगा, सबने सुना ही है, कि we were discussing about younger generation and the performances, and हालांकि वो जो question आलोक भाई and we were discussing before, वो जरा जल्दी आ गया था. Like you said, it came early in the chat room. But अभी अगर आप कुछ महुआ जी कुछ पूछना चाहें या कुछ डिस्कस करना चाहें.
मैं आपसे कुछ पूछना तो नहीं चाहूंगी, बट मैं ये जरूर कहूंगी कि definitely the time when I was coming with my guru Pandit Birshu Maharaj ji for the summer camp, several times I've come with him. The environment is so beautiful, it's exactly like Guru Shishya Parampara or like a Gurukul. Every single student, like having a very close time with the gurus, and not only their own guru, but different gurus, eating together, conversation, the conversation together, having such good time together. I don't think this kind of environment I've ever seen in India as well. I've never seen it in India too. But I have really been blessed to be there and witnessed this environment. I mean, I can't say, I don't have enough words to describe that what beautiful environment we have always
that was no doubt. What I experienced also, that was also beautiful.
मैं एक चीज मैं कहूँ कि जैसे महुआ जी ने बताया, या आपने एक्सपीरियंस किया इन्नी भाई, या मैंने एक्सपीरियंस किया, उसको जितने सालों से प्रशांत जी और आलोक भाई उसको मेंटेन किए हुए हैं, उसको मेंटेन करना बहुत जरूरी है कि जो
मैं इसमें एक सवाल पूछना चाहता था आलोक भाई, how old is Milapfest? When did it start?
It's 35 years old now, so 1985.
1985 माशाल्लाह।
मैं
2001 में बजाया था, मैंने प्रशांत जी को बोला, और उसके बाद 2019 में। तो प्रशांत जी उस वक्त आ नहीं पाए थे लास्ट ईयर कॉन्सर्ट में हमारे, तो उनका वो सुन रहे होंगे अभी, तो फोन पे कहा कि ये 18 साल का गैप कुछ ज्यादा लंबा हो गया। क्योंकि वो काफी सालों से उनका जैसे कहना था कि मुराद भाई हम बहुत सालों से कोशिश कर रहे हैं कि आपको लेके आए। कभी राकेश चौरसिया भाई के साथ कुछ बनता था, कभी अनिल श्रीनिवासन जी के साथ, कभी किसी कलाकार के साथ, तो वो कुछ हो नहीं पाया। लेकिन फाइनली लास्ट ईयर किसी सूरत से मतलब लकीली मुझे वो अपॉर्चुनिटी मिली कि मैं वहां जाके सोलो बजाया, और मैंने देखा कि आफ्टर 2001 तो मैं एज ए संगत कलाकार वहाँ मैंने परफॉर्म किया था, और अब सोलो में तो वो जो इन्वायरमेंट है, वो जो जिस तरीके से आलोक जी ने उसको संभाला है, वो काबिल तारीफ है। एंड रियली इट वाज रियली वंडरफुल एक्सपीरियंस फॉर मी टू परफॉर्म देयर, और बहुत ही मजा आया मुझे। और मेरी दुआ है कि उसको आप मेंटेन करें, जो आपकी सोच है, जो थिंकिंग है कि कलाकारों के लिए, चाहे वो अपकमिंग कलाकार हो, चाहे एस्टैब्लिश हो, चाहे सीनियर्स हो, सभी के लिए आप अच्छा सोचते हैं। तो मेरी बहुत शुभकामनाएं आपको।
Thank you.
Alok bhai, I just wanted to ask you one question. You had mentioned about the British Gharana. I remember when I was there. What was the concept behind? I mean, what was it about?
Well, it relates to, I mean, first quickly to say thank you, Mahuaji and Murad bhai, for what you just said last few minutes. I mean, the important thing is that that's the thing we missed actually during this shutdown, to meet with all of you and to have these things together. But to bring it back to what I said at the beginning, what Siddharth ji said and his comments, what Prashant ji said, is that definitely I want to repeat. Even if I repeat 2 or 3 times, it's okay. We will only survive if we work together, and if we help other organizations, if we help artists. So what you're telling me now, I'm really happy to hear, because we want to make sure that we understand artists, what they're thinking, what they need, and we support each other. So, for us, there's no point just inviting you for a concert, put you on stage, and then say, thank you, see you next time.
Yes.
We have to keep growing together and
absolutely
make sure we understand each other. But this Gurukul feeling you got in dancing there when you came, Mawaji, that's a little bit related to this Gharana, Great British Gharana. What we're trying to, and related to my idea about change, that Great British Gharana, in our opinion, is the adaptation of how traditional Indian arts have come to England, have taken root here, have adapted, but also evolved. So Great British Gharana includes, for example, a sitarist playing Hindustani music, alap Georgiala, traditional concert. But it also, in our opinion, it includes, say, a sitarist playing with a Western classical orchestra. It includes we have 3 national orchestras, Samir, Tarang, and Saurang. So we have created orchestra music here. Wow. But it's traditional, but it's, it can't be traditional because it's 20 musicians playing together. So it's like, so that's what we feel is an idea of change, where you take the best of the tradition, you adapt it, and then it grows. But we don't lose the tradition still. We just create new ones,
Very nice.
Wonderful.
And I think that's what we can do with young artists, and with not just young artists, but that's what we can all do together now, is read the situation and adapt and grow together. and it has to be together. We can't do it separately.
Yeah. That's right.
And एक चीज और मैं ऐड करना चाहूंगा, there is very important thing, artist unity.
Very true.
So artist unity is very important. बहुत सारे आर्टिस्ट, अच्छे आर्टिस्ट हैं, उनको चाहिए कि जो उनके साथ के और भी आर्टिस्ट हैं. अगर मान लीजिए कोई आर्टिस्ट मिलाप फेस्टिवल में परफॉर्म कर रहा है या किसी भी बड़े फेस्टिवल में परफॉर्म कर रहा है, तो उनको चाहिए कि नेक्स्ट टाइम के लिए वो कुछ अच्छे आर्टिस्टों का भी सजेशन दें कि भाई आपको उनको भी बुलाना चाहिए. ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए कि मेरे अलावा कोई दूसरा अच्छा आर्टिस्ट है नहीं वो भी बुरा है, नहीं उसमें ये कमी है. वो फील्ड को और कला को सबको खराब करता है. सो अगर आपके कहने से और इफ यू रिकमेंड समवन, तो उसके लिए, कलाकार के लिए भी अच्छा है, उस कला के लिए भी अच्छा है और आपके लिए भी अच्छा होगा. मेरा ऐसा मानना है कि एक दूसरे को रिकमेंड करना चाहिए. अगर यू थिंक ही इज और शी इज वेरी गुड म्यूजिशियन और डांसर, whoever, you please recommend them.
Yeah.
Very true.
That is true.
And
That is
I
artistic
have to
unity.
say,
Yes,
I have to say one thing, that is pandemic situation, man, it is definitely very it's dangerous. It's like it has really turned the world to something else. But one thing good has happened, that everyone is united now. आप देखिए online, everyone is getting connected. Every artist, and it's not only being connected to the dancers. It's the dancers and the musicians, the organizers. Everyone from the art field are now connected. So this is what I feel is like a blessing. So ये एक blessing हुआ है कि now through the online sessions we are doing, we are to know more closely, the other person. Like I never imagined to have. It was always a dream to have Alok ji in our, with us. But before this pandemic situation, ऐसे कभी सोचा नहीं था कि this is how we'll come together.
Yeah.
So somewhere I'm very thankful that because of this pandemic situation today, is getting closer and getting connected with each other.
Yeah, I totally agree as well. And we can do more. Like now,
we can do more. Yes, exactly.
Now it's no point if I now don't talk to you for another 2 years. We should keep talking. I know, 18 years like Murad by our last experience. But now we've got an opportunity to see how we work together. That's why I was so happy that you invited me to, because when we talk about coming together, artists come together, but also promote, organizers, promoters, producers like me. We of course have our own culture that we try to connect with artists as much as possible, but we don't talk enough on helping each other. So yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah,
there is a very beautiful message by Prashantji. Again, he's written, if you will permit me to say this, the ehsas should not be one sector helping other. We should all combine to ensure the prosperity and success of everyone. We should be together. Artists are art organizations are like swar and lay to each other.
Very nice.
Beautiful.
First of all, my humble pranam to Prashantji, because I did not meet him, and I have been blessed to meet him whenever I came there. I'm blessed that I met him, and my humble pranam to him. And thank you for coming there.
I always cherish my experiences at Milapfest when I went there for the first time. In fact, I traveled alone for the first time when I was there. I think I met Alok bhai. I met you not on the first day. I think second day, or I don't know.
Because we have all 2 festivals going on simultaneously.
Yeah. And I reached there pretty late, and when I was shown the room, Prav bhai was here, Pravinder. So I'll just say hello to him. Also, he had commented a while back. Pravinder saying, Sat Sri Akal to everyone. He said, Sat Sri Akal Bhaji. Good to have you also. And I remember going into that room, and he said, "Okay, this is your room and this is your kitchen." I was like, "Who else is in the building?" He said, "You're the only one." And I'm like, I'm the only one. Where is everybody else? You wouldn't believe, Alok bhai, I didn't sleep that night. I was like, "Subah kab hogi? Subah kab-" So that I see somebody that I can talk to. But then after that, I still remember each and every. I see pictures of Dakshina and Neha and others who had shot there, which was. I don't think I've had any better experiences. As I haven't had any actually, but I don't think I will ever have a better experience than what I had in Milapfest with the exhibition and everything.
I'm very happy to hear that. And I think some of those pictures you took there in Liverpool, people are still using them for their.
Yeah, I keep seeing them here and there of Samyo, or no, what was the group's name?
Yeah, Samyo and Tarang.
Tarang, yeah, that was Tarang. I remember, yeah, and they're all young musicians from different styles and such brilliant musicians, and coming together as one.
Yeah,
that was very different. So anybody would like to?
मुझे एक चीज मेंशन करनी है, वही जो पहले डिस्कशन चल रहा था कि आर्टिस्ट यूनिटी के लिए अभी कुछ सालों से हमने आलोक भाई फेस्टिवल शुरू किया है महुआ जी की एकेडमी और हमारी सोसाइटी ने, एंड इब्तिदा नाम से। इन्नी भाई उसके खास मेंबर हैं इस फेस्टिवल के खास। तो उसके साथ साथ हमने यंग कलाकारों के लिए एक फेस्टिवल शुरू किया है इनटू द फ्यूचर। तो जिस वक्त वो हमने फर्स्ट टाइम किया तो मेरी डिस्कशन थोड़ी शुभा मुदगल जी से हुई, डॉक्टर अनीश प्रधान भाई से हुई। तो हमने सोचा कि एक सेमिनार रखते हैं और उसमें दिल्ली के, क्योंकि हम दिल्ली में रहते हैं, सब क्रिटिक्स को बुलाते हैं और उनको ऑडियंस में बिठा लेंगे और आर्टिस्ट को नहीं, उनको स्टेज पर बिठा लेंगे और आर्टिस्ट से उनसे सवाल जवाब करवाएंगे, क्योंकि उनको क्या क्या प्रॉब्लम है आर्टिस्ट को, चाहे वो डांसर्स हैं, म्यूजिशियंस हैं, अपने दिल की कुछ बातें शेयर करें कि कैसे स्ट्रगल करना पड़ रहा है, क्या क्या होना चाहिए, किसको चांस नहीं मिल रहा है, किसको क्या नहीं मिल रहा है। तो कलाकारों के अंदर बहुत कुछ है, कुछ को बहुत जल्दी सब कुछ मिल जाता है, कुछ करने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ती, लेकिन कुछ को बहुत दौड़ना पड़ता है, भागना पड़ता है, लेकिन उसके बावजूद भी वो नहीं मिलता जो वो डिजर्व करता है। तो ऐसा सोचा, आप यकीन मानिए क्रिटिक सारे आ गए लेकिन आर्टिस्ट शायद 2 पहुंचे।
बिल्कुल
2 आर्टिस्ट पहुंचे। किसी को कह रहा नहीं हम बोलेंगे तो किसी और को बुरा ना लग जाए, ऑर्गेनाइजर्स को बुरा ना लग जाए, किसी कलाकार को बुरा ना लग जाए। तो मैंने कहा यार ये क्या मसला है। तो आप हमने एक ही बार करके ना उसको अपने दिमाग से हटाया कि यहाँ कोई नहीं बोलने वाला। बहुत कम कलाकार ऐसे होते हैं जो खुल के बोलते हैं कि ये प्रॉब्लम है, इसको सॉर्ट आउट की जाए। तो जैसे जिस खूबसूरती से मिलाप फेस्टिवल आप लोग कर रहे हैं कि उसका जिक्र आज भी हो रहा है, और उस जैसे महुआ जी ने कहा कि जो एटमॉस्फेयर उन्होंने वहां देखा, जो एनवायरनमेंट वहां देखा, उन्होंने इंडिया में भी नहीं देखा। तो ये एक बड़ी बात है कि मिलाप फेस्टिवल की चर्चा यहाँ इंडिया में हो रही है, और इंडिया के जो लोग हैं वो अपनी फीलिंग शेयर करने में भी डर रहे हैं कि ऐसा ना हो कि कुछ हमारा नाम वहां से कट ना हो जाए, हमको कोई बुरा ना कहे। आप ही के लिए हो रहा। तो मेरी ये रिक्वेस्ट है तमाम कलाकारों से कि जिसने जो स्ट्रगल किया है या कर रहे हैं, एटलीस्ट उसको शेयर करें, आर्टिस्ट टू आर्टिस्ट शेयर करें। और मेरी ये रिक्वेस्ट है आलोक भाई से भी, प्रशांत जी सुन रहे हैं इनको भी, कि इस तरह का जैसे सेमिनार में जिसको कह रहा हूँ, ऐसा एक अगर वहां करते हैं लिवरपूल में या मैनचेस्टर में कुछ करते हैं कि आर्टिस्ट को बुला के उनसे आपस में बातचीत रखें कि भाई किसको क्या प्रॉब्लम इन 6 महीनों में हुई या 1 साल में हुई है, किसने कितना स्ट्रगल किया, किसको क्या क्या नहीं मिला। तो उससे बहुत कुछ मसले हल हो सकते हैं आर्टिस्टों के।
And there is one thing one thing, Alok bhai, I always wanted to ask Prashant ji and you also. Does Milapfest has ever planned of coming to India, organizing a festival in India?
Yeah, I mean, we'd be happy to, and now especially we've got time and the opportunity to think of that, because now we can't only work in England because everything's changing all the time. So we would love to, because I think it's a different approach to think of coming there, because the issues in England and issues in India overlap in many ways. It's not different anymore. So we are happy to, and are exploring that as well.
Yeah, and because you were saying,
yeah, I mean, I agree with like what you were saying, Murad Bhai. We can start, say, in a small way, say amongst the four of us who are here today. I'm very happy to hear. I would be very happy if artists told me frankly criticisms of Milap, or anything we could do better or differently. But I've experienced this too, that Murad Bhai, I'll ask, say, an artist, can you recommend a tabla player or a Kathak artist or a Bharatanatyam dancer? And they often won't do it because they don't. You worry about either offending somebody, or they have favorites or something.
Yes.
But of course we depend on that too, because I can't come all the time to India, or so it's a different. It definitely, I would really welcome that openness of discussion and working together. And that idea of coming and talking together is really important too.
Yeah, I would really like to see, and I'm sure it'll be a very, very, interesting to see if Milapfest does have their presence in India, and like the way you do usually in England, in Liverpool, promoting young artists, promoting new artists. That'll be quite an interesting thing to see organize in India, whichever city, whichever city seems. Obviously, whenever this starts, after whenever this happens.
Well, quite interesting. Yeah, we can start planning now, and after this.
And if you want to hire a photographer, you can always call me for that. This is quite an interesting. We had quite an interesting, and again, if anybody would like to, say something, I would like to really thank Alok Bhai to be here. We've already spoken for about 1 hour, and all this time Prashantji has been here also. So this is quite huge for us, and quite huge for the Academy, Guru Pradeep Shankar Academy, and so.
Prashantji is online, and once again, thank you so much, Alok Bhai, to come here and share your views and experience. And thank you, Innee Bhai, कि आपके एफर्ट से
मेरे एफर्ट से I'm still not is this really happening, because I was too afraid to write, but I just wrote to him and I switched off the phone and I said चलो देखेंगे क्या जवाब.
I'm not that bad, I hope.
I'm so happy, and thank you, Mawji.
Thank you so much.
One more comment from Prashantji. If artists and art organizations become one family, the insecurity shall go, especially in the current climate. The insecurity is a very big issue. Very true. Absolutely. Yeah. But if they all come together, because at the end of the day, we are the self-sustaining profession kind of a thing. We have to help each other to grow and to keep on continuing. You can't always ask for help from governments in this kind of situations. Nobody would. Arts would be the last field anybody would like to help at this moment. Such crisis.
That's what we're seeing here as well. And I can just to ensure that what I've said today is not just. I'm not just saying nice things, and now we go off and don't talk to each other again. We can now put it into practice with at least 4 of us on the screen here, and put some action. Let's take some action together of how we can help each other and help other people around us. I'm really grateful to all of you as well for.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for.
Thank you so much, Alokji.
And to everybody, stay safe and
my humble pranam to Prashantji.
Prashantji, thank you, Prashantji, for being here. He's listening. And everybody, and thank you again, Alok Bhai. Thank you so much for. Let's move forward with some of these discussions, and we do have the presence of Milapfest in India very soon, and we hope that all this ends very soon, and we go back to the auditoriums and enjoy the performances.
Definitely.
And then we criticize each other.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for joining.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mama.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.